The air is freezing. The silence is broken only by the crackle of a radio, the hum of high-voltage wire, and the heavy thud of military boots. You're standing at the edge of a perimeter where one wrong step doesn't get you a warning. It gets you erased. 25-ton blast doors buried in solid granite. Subterranean vaults rigged to drown anyone who breaches the seal. The map is scarred with black zones, lines you are simply not allowed to cross. They built these walls to keep us out. But today, we aren't asking for clearance. We're going in. Deep in the freezing Urals, Yamantau isn't just a mountain. It's a 5,400-foot fortress. In the 1990s, US spy satellites caught them digging. 2 entire secret cities were built just to house the 30,000 workers hollowing out the granite. The result, a 400 square mile subterranean complex, roughly the size of Washington, D.C., capable of keeping 60,000 people alive for months. When the US demanded answers, the Kremlin's story kept changing. A mining site, a treasure repository, a food bunker. But you don't bury a food bunker under 3,000 feet of solid quartz, rigged to survive a direct nuclear strike. This is a shadow city for the world's elites. And the only way you're getting clearance to go inside is if the world outside has already ended. Number 9. Most vaults use steel to keep you out. This one uses 400 tons of water pressure. The nightmare begins 115 feet beneath Madrid. When the doors open, the noise of the city is replaced by a heavy, humid silence. This is the heart of the Chamber of Gold. The 16-ton steel barrier is a masterpiece of precision engineering. The tolerances are so thin that there is no margin for error and no way through once the gears stop turning. But the real defense is in the corridor floor. This section is a retractable bridge. If the alarms are triggered, the bridge pulls back, turning the approach into a deep, open pit and leaving the vault entrance unreachable. 73,000 gallons of water, diverted from the city's underground streams, flood the chamber. The resulting 400 tons of water pressure creates a vacuum seal that makes escape physically impossible. At the Bank of Spain, the security doesn't just lock the door, it erases the air you breathe. Step out of the Tehran heat and into the basement of the central bank. The air here is different, cool, still, and heavy with the scent of old stone. You pass 3 armed checkpoints before the final steel barrier groans aside, revealing a cavernous, dimly lit hall. There are no overhead lights here. Single streams of light pierce the dark, hitting individual gems like spotlights on a stage. In the center, the Darya-i-Noor, the Sea of Light, glows with a pale pink fire that hasn't been extinguished for centuries. To your left, a 75-pound globe of solid gold catches the light. You see oceans of deep green emeralds and continents of blood-red rubies. It's so bright it's disorienting. But don't get too close. The display cases are alive with vibration sensors. Lean in too far, and the silence is shattered by high-decibel alarms that turn this treasure room into a concrete tomb. You aren't just looking at history. You're standing inside the financial heartbeat of a nation, carved in diamonds. Sinking 100 feet beneath the surface of Stockholm to our 7th entry, we find a facility that doesn't just store data, it buries it. Carved directly into the side of Stockholm's White Mountain, 100 feet of solid granite protects a former Cold War bunker built to survive a direct hit from a hydrogen bomb. A single tunnel leads to a 16-inch thick steel blast door. Beyond the steel, the facility opens into a surreal landscape where raw rock walls meet vertical gardens and artificial waterfalls. These plants aren't for decoration. They are a psychological lifeline for technicians living in a windowless rock tomb. In the center of the main cavern, a glass-walled conference room hangs suspended from the ceiling, looking out over rows of servers that hold some of the world's most sensitive information. Power here is absolute. If the city above goes dark, two vintage German submarine engines roar to life to keep the data flowing. The vibration is felt through the very bedrock of the mountain. This was the fortress chosen to house the WikiLeaks servers. In a world of digital threats, this is the ultimate physical solution. Because at Pionen, a secret isn't just encrypted, it's buried. Descending to number 6 on our list, we find ourselves at the Bank of England. 100 feet beneath the cobblestones of Threadneedle Street, the foundation of the British economy remains unbreached, a subterranean fortress that has never fallen in its 3-century history. Behind a series of gear-driven blast doors lie 9 separate chambers housing nearly 400,000 bars of solid gold. It is a labyrinth of wealth worth over $600 billion, protected by walls 8 feet thick. The ground here is a living alarm. The massive weight of the gold, resting on a layer of soft London clay, turns the entire foundation into a giant seismic sensor. Any unauthorized vibration, the heat of a torch or the frequency of a drill, is amplified by the clay and detected instantly. Triggering these sensors doesn't just trip a bell. The facility instantly vanishes from the grid as heavy steel shutters seal every exit, trapping the intruder in a high-tensile steel cage before they can even touch a wall. In these vaults, the global economy isn't a series of numbers on a screen. It's a physical weight that anchors the city above. 2,000 feet of solid granite, 600 million years of stone, carved into a fortress that doesn't just resist the end of the world, it ignores it. This is the Cheyenne mountain complex. It isn't just a bunker, it is the hardened brain of North American aerospace defense, built to coordinate a counterstrike while the surface burns. Security here is built on raw mass. 2 25-ton steel blast doors seal the interior in seconds. It is a portal into a world where the outside atmosphere and its threats simply cease to exist. The real genius is the floating city. 15 buildings sitting on 1,311 massive steel springs, each weighing half a ton. It turns a direct nuclear hit into a gentle detonation, keeping the command center online when the rest of the continent goes dark. Nuclear hardened, self-sustaining, the ultimate no-entry zone, a silent dragon waiting for a day that hopefully never comes. 53 miles of subterranean shelving. 12 centuries of human history locked beneath the holiest square mile on Earth. This is the Vatican Secret Archive, a fortress built not to hoard gold or weapons, but to control the most dangerous currency of all, information. Physical security is enforced by the Swiss Guard, but the true defense is an impenetrable wall of bureaucracy. There is no browsing in these catacombs. A fraction of the world's elite scholars are granted entry. Forget the history books. Down here you'll find the handwritten pleas of Mary Queen of Scots before her execution, the papal bull that split the church in two, and a 190-foot parchment documenting the trials and torture of the Knights Templar. This isn't a library. It is the raw, unfiltered source code of Western civilization, kept under lock, key, and absolute silence. 600 miles from the North Pole, civilization has a backup drive. This is the Svalbard Global Seed Vault, a biological insurance policy, carved 390 feet into the permafrost, designed to reboot global agriculture from a frozen standstill. There are no armed guards here. The security is the environment itself. Sub-zero temperatures, a remote archipelago, and reinforced steel doors built to withstand a direct missile strike. In 2015, the ice was broken. War in Syria leveled the Aleppo seed bank. Svalbard triggered its first withdrawal. Ancient, drought-resistant crops were pulled from the deep freeze and replanted in the soil of Lebanon and Morocco, a lost heritage resurrected from the frost. Nearly 1 million unique samples sit here in suspended animation. If the power fails, the surrounding rock acts as a natural coolant, keeping the seeds viable for centuries. It is the final safety net, a library, waiting for a world that has run out of options. A name synonymous with the unbreakable. Behind the white granite facade in the Kentucky hills sits the most heavily guarded 4 acres on the planet. This is the United States Bullion Depository, Fort Knox. The security isn't just a vault, it is a standing army. 10,000 soldiers, minefields, and a blast-proof door that no single person on Earth has the code to open. The sequence is fractured, divided among multiple officials who are forbidden from knowing the full combination. Even with the keys, you only have a fragment of the puzzle. Inside lies 147 million ounces of solid gold, over $350 billion in physical weight, resting in total darkness. It is the silent, heavy heart of the American dollar, the literal anchor of the global economy. 70 miles of restricted airspace, 2.9 million acres of forbidden ground. This is the Nevada Test and Training Range, centered on a dry lake bed known as Groom Lake. It isn't just a base, it is the box, a black hole of information where the future is built in total darkness. The security is invisible until it's too late. Buried flux gate sensors pick up the magnetic signature of a vehicle miles from the interior. On the ridges, contractors in unmarked trucks monitor every thermal signature and every breath. Cross the line, and the response is immediate, silent, and authorized for deadly force. This is the cradle of impossible aviation. Spy planes, stealth tech, and unmanned drones were born here. Even the workforce is a ghost, ferried in daily from Las Vegas on a fleet of unmarked 737s, known as Janet. To the rest of the world, they simply don't exist. The mystery is its greatest defense. The box remains closed, the most expensive and effective no-entry sign in human history. Subterranean bunkers, frozen libraries, and desert black sites, anchored by a weight of concrete and silence no civilian key can turn. The sensors are live, the guards are waiting, and the doors stay shut, because these stories were always meant to stay out of reach. Consider these 10 vaults the official map of everything you aren't allowed to know. To keep uncovering the world's best-kept secrets, hit that like button and subscribe. I'm the legendary Lister, and as always, stay legendary.